Most people remember their past by pulling out an old photo album, but not these two brothers. Charlie and Clarence Doobie simply come back here, for it is in this general store where many of their childhood memories live. You see, their dad built this store back in 1917. They grew up in a long-gone symbol of Americana.
This was one of my first steady jobs in this store. We sold dry goods, we sold shoes, we sold lumber, feed. We had, if anyone died, we had coffins here for them. You could either have a one that was ready-made or not. They would build one.
Whoever buys the Grove will also buy the town's original life-giving water well, which, ironically, also resulted in its death. You see, back in the 30s, the state was going to build a highway right through the middle of town, and that would have meant paving over the well. The townsfolk would hear none of that. They protested loudly, and as a result, the highway got built down the way a bit. With traffic bypassing the outfit, it withered and died.
My grandmother lived right across the road, and she had an old wash pot. They had to do their clothes with a rub board back then, and she brought all of her water from this well right here.
And while the doors to this old general store remain open today, they're not selling dry goods here anymore. No flour, no sugar. They are selling one thing. They're selling memories.
And why did you choose an auctioneer to sell all of this?
Well, I didn't have a choice. My wife doesn't care anything about antiques. My children don't care anything about antiques, and my grandchildren don't care anything about antiques.
The chief salesman, an antique dealer from Austin, Moody Anderson.
I'd been up to a Wildcat flea market up in Gatesville one weekend about 17, 18 years ago. On the way back to Austin, I saw a sign out here that said The Grove. So I stopped in to see what they had here. Walked up here, and Mr. Graham sitting on this bench here behind me. I thought maybe he'd sell me the store, so I asked him about the building. He said, well, he had 2 daughters, he'd have to check with them. And about 3 days later, I had a card from him that said he wanted to sell, so I came up and ended up buying the property.
Some of the caskets in the store, this one in particular was used in Lonesome Dove. It was used in a black hearse, and I own the black hearse, and I later sold it to a museum down at Pasadena, Texas. And they bought the hearse, but I've still got the casket. About 5%, everything you see in this room was here, and I've moved about 95% of it. And this is an old store counter that came out of the Page General Store. I can't even remember the name. Dale, Texas. So this picture of Myra Ferguson when she ran for governor, so that dates it. That was first female governor of the state of Texas.
Now Papa fell in love with a girl next door. They had a white gown wedding back in '54 when cotton was king. We hoed it row after row. Papa used to sell her to the gin down at the Grove. He worked all day long in the Texas sun, but come Saturday night when the working was done.
The West Place, I love coming out here, and I'm just sad to see it all being sold. We grew up here, and kind of just, it's always going to be someplace special.
They had a blacksmith, postman, general store, and just inside those swinging doors of the old saloon, played domino.
I believe it's the end of an era, but possibly the beginning of a new era. With the stores and old properties apparently staying in the family, it could start again. Hopefully 40 years from now, we'll be here doing this again.
Now 500. I get 2 and you get 4.5. What do you do 500? 500, now 5.5. I'm at 500, now 550. I'm at 500 here. You want to be 550? 500 up front, now 550. 500, now 5.5. All in all done. And I sold it your way, sir. $500, bidder number